you can email me now at askjuangotti@gmail.com all of your questions. And once we get enough feedback, the first episode will be airing. Wait a minute, girl, can you slow down? Wait a minute, girl, what's the rush now? I wanna introduce myself to you. My name is one-on-one guy, you prefer nouns. I like the way you put your fists together. I like the way you do your hair in the morning. I see why all the boys want you, girl. YouTube, what's going on? It's Juan Gotti here. We under the Washington Commanders video, and in today's video, I'm coming on here with a discussion that I want to have with y'all. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. But before we do, make sure you guys go down below, leave a like on this video, subscribe if you're new, and turn on post notifications so you get notified when I upload a video about the NFL, or in this case, our Washington Commanders. We're on the road to 6,000 subscribers, so please hit that subscribe button again if you haven't already. Thank you so much. Let's get straight into today's video. So as y'all can see, man, I'm rocking the bucket, man. I'm feeling the bucket. I like it. Alright, let's get down to business, man. So the Washington Commanders drafted running back Chris Rodriguez in the 6th round, pick 193. And a lot of talk has been about how he is Eric Bieniemy's Isaiah Pacheco. He's gonna have a major role on this team. And he had a really solid collegiate career. And 2021 was his best year, rushing for over 1,000 yards. He followed up that season, last season, 2022, rushing over 900 yards. I didn't look at his receiving yards or anything like that because I'm already knowing that he gets down and dirty when it comes to receiving game too. He's 6 foot 217. A lot of people believing that this guy will be the new J.D. McKissick or whatever. You know, be that guy that's going to do it all for us. Really what we wanted Antonio Gibson to be. So that brings me to ask the question. Did the Washington Commanders draft Antonio Gibson's replacement? Now, you guys know me. You know I love Antonio Gibson. You guys know I'm a big Antonio Gibson fan. And this hurts me to make this kind of video because I understand what he brings to a team. I understand how talented Antonio Gibson can be. However, I also understand the business of the NFL and how they devalue the running back position. So this draft pick definitely screams to me a potential Antonio Gibson replacement, especially if he goes out there and tears it up this season. He, along with Brian Robinson, are back-to-back draft picks of the running back position, so that should tell you how they feel about Antonio Gibson. Now, to me, that's not fair because I personally think Antonio Gibson is a really, really great player. Has a lot of untapped potential still. Remember, we drafted Antonio Gibson to be the quote-unquote weapon in 2020, and due to the lack of Scott Turner and his you know, just the lack of how bad he was, they really never used him as the weapon. You know what I'm saying? And going into his 4th season, that is still untapped for real, if we want to be real. That is still untapped. So it's very unfortunate that they are drafting all these other running backs. But, I mean, it's a part of the business, man. You don't want to have to get in a situation to where you have to pay Antonio Gibson. You want to feel comfortable. If you get to a point where you want to release him and let him walk in free agency, you want to feel comfortable that you got some replacements, some cheaper options. And that's just simply what it is, in my opinion. I do think a little bit of the fumbling issue, even though that was such an overrated thing, man. Last year he was okay with holding on to the rock. You know what I'm saying? He rarely had any fumbles last year. I can't even remember one. I think maybe just one. You know, I genuinely could think of that preseason fumble that really closed the door on his opportunity to be the bell cow. You know what I'm saying? Regular season fumbles, I think he may have had 1 or 0. But needless to say, I think that fumbling issue is overrated. However, I do think that plays in a part of their decision whether they want to keep him here. What I think is even more bigger is the injuries, man. That's one thing about AG is he's guaranteed to miss at least, you know, from somewhere between 3 to 5 games a year, man. And you know, what was it, a toe 1 year, You know, lower leg injuries, man. You know what I'm saying, with AG, and just not being healthy. You know, all 17 games, and that is a real killer. You know, when it comes to, you know, playing sports, your best ability is availability, and when you can't do that for a whole season, you tend to get replaced. But I do think the number one, you know, reason, if this is his replacement, which you can kind of see it is, again, it depends on how this guy plays. If Chris Rodriguez comes in and he's loafing, he's slumming, he not that good, AG probably has a better chance of staying. But if Chris Rodriguez comes in and can be what they think he can be, what they think Eric Bieniemy could turn him into, since what he did with Scott Moore, Isaiah Pacheco, what's brand name? I can't think of that. Jarrett McKinnon. Like, if he could come in and do that with him in this running back group, then yeah, that's probably the end for AG. But I think the number one reason that they don't want to re-sign Antonio Gibson is generally because they follow the persona and the new wave of you don't pay running backs. You don't pay running backs. Now, I don't think Antonio Gibson will be breaking their pockets, but considering the fact that you got to pay Cam Curl this upcoming offseason, you got to extend Curtis Samuel, you got to potentially pay Montez Sweat or Chase Young, and then you can use the franchise tag on one of them if you don't want to let them go. Like, you got a lot of other priorities to face bigger than running back, you know what I'm saying? And they probably don't view Antonio Gibson as a guy that they need to pay. Would they love to pay Antonio Gibson? I don't even think they would love to pay him because their actions don't show it. You know, their actions don't show it. Drafting Brian Robinson, Chris Rodriguez doesn't show that you love Antonio Gibson. So I don't think this coaching staff loves Antonio Gibson as much as they once did. You know, and that's very unfair because I love AG as a player, man, and I know how talented he is. You know, and I know if this is his last year, whatever team he go to, he gonna turn up, bro. Because he's good. Like, Antonio Gibson is a good talent. He can run the ball. He can pass, catch. He can be the weapon. It's just that our offensive coordinator was just a bozo and didn't use him to be the weapon. I don't think Antonio Gibson was ever supposed to be the bell cow here in Washington. But we tried him out at that, and at times he was really, really good at that. I mean, let's not fake like everybody wasn't geeking when he had that rookie season and he torched Dallas. And that's RB1. Everybody saying RB1. Then now everybody want to switch on him. I genuinely feel like I'm one of the few, you know, Antonio Gibson lovers left in his fan base, man. Everybody just shifted to Brian Robinson. And the thing is, again, what I like to stress to you guys is they play on the same team. You don't have to dislike Brian Robinson if you're an Antonio Gibson fan. You don't got to dislike Antonio Gibson if you're a Brian Robinson fan. It's not a versus, bro. They literally play for the Washington Commanders. They both do. And their goal is to both win a championship. Just look at me. I root for both of them. I love Antonio Gibson. I wasn't that thrilled about the Brian Robinson pick because I loved Antonio Gibson, but once I saw him play, I'm like, all right, B-Rob. Okay. I like B-Rob. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to root against a player. That's one thing that just doesn't make sense for me. You would rather root against a player that plays on your favorite team than root for him because you want to be proven right, or you just want him to fail because he's getting more playing time, or than the player that you like at a business. Like, that just never made sense to me. You know, that some people actually think like that out there. But there are people out there that think like that. But with what Chris Rodriguez could bring to this team, potentially, he's a toter. Okay, he's 6'4", 217. He's fast. He can pass, catch. Like, he can essentially do what Antonio Gibson can do on a much cheaper deal that it'll cost us. That's what I think of Jalen is. If Antonio Gibson had one more year left on his deal, 2 years left on his deal, they probably wouldn't have drafted Chris Rodriguez. But that's what I think the number one reason is. All the other things, injuries, the quote-unquote fumbling problem that he once had, everything else,
that falls by the wayside. Because again, injuries is a part of the game, but it also is something that you can't control. You know, fumbling is something that you can work on. So that falls by the wayside. The only one reason I think they did it is because they don't want to pay him. They don't want to pay him. And I can't be mad at the front office for that. Because again, especially what position we're about to be in, where we have to pay all these other guys. Right? So I'm not gonna be mad at them for it. Would I love to have Antonio Gibson back? Definitely, because I know how good he can be. But if they want to go cheaper at the running back position and they are getting health and talent out of that position, I can't complain. I can't. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I definitely think there's a strong potential and possibility that they just drafted Antonio Gibson's replacement. I don't think they drafted Brian Robinson's replacement, because Brian Robinson is the bell cow. He's gonna be that early down back for us, and it's gonna be his second year, and potentially, you know, his second year, but his first full year, because obviously we know the situation that happened. So they won't be trying to replace Brian Robinson. They love Brian Robinson, like extremely love Brian Robinson. So I don't see that being the case. I see this being Antonio Gibson's replacement. So let me know what you guys think about this video in the comment section down below. As always, me and boy Juan Gotti. Like, comment, subscribe. Hail to the Washington Commanders. We're on the road to 6,000 subscribers. So please hit that subscribe button again if you haven't already. It's free. Thank you so much. See you guys next time. I'm out. Peace. Cost me one time, that's gonna get you pop. Get you pop, get you drop, slide on the one where they get you locked on. I ain't stopping till I get me